This has been a massive traumatic event, and trauma often triggers underlying mental health conditions.
Do you want that every time or no? Like maybe just once, right? And then
space it out.
So what you do now is you can like cut it. So I changed my tool over here.
That sounded dope. The intro sounded dope.
So then now you have an original thing that you can mess with. And so there's your 3 parts, right?
Uh-huh.
So now you could just be like,
consolidate or repeat?
Yeah, repeat. So after almost 4 years of running this place on pure passion and just the love for music, the pandemic comes around and we have to shut down, and all of the people that were coming through on a regular basis didn't have a place to come anymore. And it was a very challenging time for us to figure out, for everybody really, to figure out like, okay, what's next?
Statistically, 1 in 5 Americans is dealing with a mental health condition at any given point in time. 1 in 5. Now with COVID, and because it's such a triggering event between the illnesses and watching people you love get sick or pass away, and the loss of employment and the potential loss of housing and all the social isolation, this has been a massive traumatic event, and trauma often triggers underlying mental health conditions. And now it's like literally 1 in 3 Americans is dealing with some kind of underlying mental health issue.
Connecticut is doing very well in their pandemic response to COVID, but we're still struggling. People still do not have full access in many ways to their support systems. I think there has been an exacerbation of some of the underlying concerns that we had pre-pandemic. What is the best plan? It's really hard to say, but I think connection to another individual, another human being is probably the key factor.
So quantize that again.
So just keep adding on top of that. It's adding on top of.
Yeah, and if you open up this, you mix it. There's a snare.
Connecticut, at one point in time, had arguably the best public mental health system in the country. However, in the last 10 years, we had a series of cuts to the public mental health system because of the budget situation here in Connecticut. And of course, with COVID and some of the money coming from the American Rescue Plan Act, we are seeing a big influx of money, which is sorely needed because we had 7 years of cuts and then flat funding. And that 7 years of cuts equated to about 20% of the spending in that space, which took what was, again, arguably the #1 public mental health system in the country down to about 15. Connecticut actually does a lot of really great things, but the problem is access, because due to the budget constraints, there's not enough funding to have enough people. There's wait lists for a lot of different services, which is frustrating because time is often of the essence. When someone is finally ready to engage in treatment, you want the services to be there. You don't want to wait list people. We have to go back over 20 years now to when my son was entering his senior year in high school. Very early on in that senior year in high school, the wheels started to fall off all of that. We got notices from the school that he wasn't turning in assignments and skipping classes and not showing up for tests. And come to find out, he was developing bipolar disorder. And that began what I often describe as a 8-year-long roller coaster ride of every parent's nightmare. There's a lot of families who've been down this road, and through the help with NAMI, they have a better outcome.
Well, hospitals around our state, they are seeing significant rises in behavioral health issues among children.
Yeah, it's becoming a concern as hospital emergency departments are exceeding capacity limitations addressing these cases.
Hospital officials say this is an issue they saw developing for a while, but has only been made worse by the pandemic.
These kids have nothing to do now. And where are we putting our money? We still need more stuff for these kids to do. The problem is vast.
In our current situation, post-pandemic, well, we're still in the pandemic, several individuals have sought out equine-assisted psychotherapy, not just for children, because children were in the house for like almost 2 years because of, the pandemic. Also, medical professionals and other professionals, people who were working from home, were really, confined, and equine-assisted therapy has provided individuals the ability to find themselves in a whole different light.
2020 was a very surprising year, right? We were not ready for that, for the pandemic. We were not ready of shutting down a nation and having to look for other places of help. I think that it has taken that particular event to make us realize that the resources that we thought that were in place, that were working to its full capacity, could have the ability to be tweaked and changed and modified to actually reach more people. I think sometimes it takes that type of an event to actually makes us step back and look at the picture. I think it also brought us to the point where we were listening more to the community and their feedback, and the fact that the community was reaching out more during this particular time of need has been very instrumental in us moving forward and looking at things differently.
The silver lining in this awful, awful pandemic that we're in is that people are much more willing to talk about it now. It's done, I think, a really great thing as far as stigma goes, because now everyone knows someone or is living with someone, or they themselves are dealing with a mental health condition. And it's just like, people are like, no, I'm just, I'm not going to be ashamed of this. I've got nothing to be ashamed of. Where can I go get help? Where can I get support? Where can I learn more about this? And that's a big part of what we do here at